Young Thug and Gunna among 28 people indicted on 56 counts. Charges include murder, armed robbery, and more. Let's dive into it. But boy, these boys is pushing, they're pushing P. And by pushing P, I mean pushing prison. Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Rashad Crenshaw back again with another video. And according to reports, Young Thug and Gunna are among 28 people, more than likely amongst YSL as well, as a whole, as a group, indicted on RICO charges. The charges which include murder, armed robbery, and possibly other felonies of the highest degree that you obviously don't want to get charged with, rapper or normal person just walking down the street. Now, I knew that something like this was going to happen because Young Thug and YFN Lucci have been beefing for quite some time. And unfortunately, someone lost their life behind this beef, behind this feud. Now, Young Thug is alleged to have been charged with the death of Donovan Big Nut Thomas in a drive-by shooting in Castleberry Hill in 2015. 2015, if I recall correctly, is the year after Young Thug's alleged associate shot up Lil Wayne's tour bus. So Young Thug has been under the scrutiny and the eye of the police in Atlanta for quite some time. It's just now catching up to him. They're charging him with things from 2015. Pay attention. Now, Donovan Big Nut Thomas is a friend, an associate of YFN Lucci. Lucci, who just went to jail on murder charges after him and his friends tried to kill somebody in a drive-by shooting, which failed. Now he's in jail, awaiting trial and awaiting to be sentenced. Now Young Thug now follows him into jail on RICO charges. We need to understand the fact that these rappers, as good as Atlanta rappers are at hiding crime and crime association and crime life, a lot of these rappers are living up to what they're telling you in their lyrics in their private life. They're living up to what they're telling you in their lyrics in their private life. And the unfortunate reality of the situation is you don't get hit with RICO charges out of the blue. You do not. You do not get hit with RICO charges out of the blue. Nor do you get hit with charges from 2015 out of the blue. Now, what's interesting here is Gunna is also involved in this case. Gunna, who I always assumed was out of the way. I knew he rolled with YSL. I mean, Young Thug picked him up and put him on and, you see what I'm saying, laid down the way for Gunna to really pop off. So I'm not surprised that Thug and Gunna were tight. I'm surprised that Thug and Gunna were that tight to where Gunna can be wrapped into a RICO case with Young Thug. Now, Gunna, who, raps about, treating his women well and Birkin bags and vacations and stuff like that, you would have never seen it coming from him. And yet here we are, looking at both of these dudes being hit with RICO charges. These charges are not easy to beat. They're not. And the fact that Young Thug and Gunna, two people you would have never thought who would ever be touched with RICO charges, are now being touched, we need to wake up to reality. Now, I've seen some people saying foolishness like, freedom boys, let them go, acting like these guys are completely innocent. Take a look at some of these comments where people are literally defending them and playing around and acting like this isn't serious. This is part of the reason why people do not take our community seriously when we speak up. Because on one hand, we're saying BLM, and on the other hand, when rappers are being accused of possibly killing somebody and robbing them, we say freedom guys because they make cute music for us in the studio. And then you had some people who are saying, hey, I love their music, but if what they're saying about these guys is true, they need to go on ahead and do the time and come home when they're ready to come home. Now, I'm not excited to see these guys go away. I don't even listen to Young Thug or Gunna, but I'm aware of them. I'm aware of Young Thug's situation with YFN. I'm aware of how much he dislikes YFN Lucci. I'm aware of their beef. You may not think I am, but I am. And one thing that we need to take away from this is the fact that when you reach the position of guys like Thug and Gunna, being real and being about that life is by no means worth it. Now, I know some of y'all gonna say, bruh, I could tell that you ain't even about that. You don't even come from that, so what you even talking about? The jail cell is the jail cell. At the end of the day, when you're sitting in that cell, and it's month 5, month 6, month 12, you would do anything to go back in time and just not ever have done what you had done at all, so you could be free with your family, with your friends, and to live out a full life. It is not worth going to prison for the rest of your life trying to be real. And the unfortunate thing about our culture is I can't blame Young Thug or Gunna for engaging in the actions that they engaged in, because as a culture, we expect that from one another. We expect Young Thug to respond to a situation with Lucci with violence and death. You can't go to the police as Young Thug and say, man, this nigga YFN, he's harassing me, officer. We gotta get him up out of here. Y'all gotta check on him. He's bothering me. Y'all come get him. He can't do that. If he does that, YFN Lucci goes on the internet and says, man, this man Young Thug, he a snitch. He over there talking to the police. He got the police coming on me. So now Young Thug's career is in question. You went to the police about YFN. Why didn't you handle him yourself? You say you run with Big B's and you throwing up all the gang signs with Birdman and you doing all of this. Young Thug and so many other black men are not allowed to solve their problems in a civilized fashion because we as a community question people who do that. We look at them as weird or soft or as a punk, while simultaneously wondering, why do other communities have it so much easier than us sometimes? This is part of the reason why. Because we place this expectation on our own people, where they can't solve a problem without the utmost amount of violence. It has to be death and destruction every single time you and another black man have an issue. If you go to the police, especially if you've been rapping about Big B's and throwing up as many gang signs as Young Thug threw up when he first came through, nah, you can't come to the police now. You done already solidified an image of being one of the biggest bloods in the industry. You done came through throwing up so many gang signs Tay-K can't even imitate. I remember Young Thug throwing up the gang signs. So now I'm looking at the situation. I'm not surprised to see what I'm seeing. I'm not. Because I understand that given the image that Young Thug has put on, he has no choice but to engage in this kind of problem solving. And now he's about to lose everything he's built up to this point, along with Gunna, who just got here. Gunna just got into the industry in comparison to everyone else. You talk about guys like Drake, Wayne, maybe even Thug. Gunna just got here. Thug has been around for about maybe 8 or 9 years. On a mainstream level, he's been rapping for longer than that. Thug has been in the game for a very long time, more than a decade. Gunna just got here fame-wise. He's been hanging out with Thug for quite some time. I remember seeing Gunna in the If It Ain't About the Money music video. But if we're being honest here, Gunna just got here on a mainstream level. He just made it. So for Gunna to throw it all away behind whatever's going on between YFN and YSL, it's saddening to see. It's sickening to see. Dudes with money and fame and power throwing it all away behind what? And to see so many people from our community not thinking first and saying, you know what? There are people who have died behind this. People who have been robbed behind this, according to the police. And these guys are being hit with RICO charges. 56 counts of crime levied against them in court. We need to, as a community, fall back and let the law handle Young Thug and Gunna and decide what the situation is going to be. We need to. Because the reality is, if Young Thug and Gunna are guilty, they have to own up to that and face that in court. We as a community cannot give somebody a pass for causing destruction and death simply because they make music that we like. I've already covered this before in the YNW Melly case. I've already covered this before. Entertainment does not give you an excuse to have a complete and utter disregard for our community's survival. We have no morals, we have no values, we have no principles. It's why when a white cop kills one of us, we cry in the street. But when 2 rappers are alleged to have killed multiple people and robbed people and 56 other counts of crime, now all of a sudden, we're sad. We're sad. Now all of a sudden we're sad that these people are going to jail. We're not sad that these people have affected others' lives in such a horrible way. We're sad because the rappers are going away. We're not sad because of the destruction they might have caused. We're sad because the rappers are going away. That's what's wrong with us as a community. We need to grow up. What kind of life are black children growing up in when their parents and grandparents care more about being entertained than the community being safe? What kind of world do they live in? What kind of black disadvantage are they at when they're born into a community that prioritizes the general entertainment of everybody above the general safety of everybody at large? How is that a safe and functioning community? The reality is it's not. So I wish the best for Gunna and Young Thug, because I don't listen to them, but the reality of the situation is I don't want to see these guys go away. I want to see these guys be able to live out their careers to the fullest. I've always thought that Young Thug and Gunna were super cool. I never felt like they were up to any bad things. I knew what was going on between YFN and YSL, but I always felt like they were keeping it under wraps and keeping it out of the public eye, and I respected them for it. I respected the fact that they weren't promoting and making it seem cool to be trying to kill each other. They kept it away from the public eye. I don't condone the violence, I'm not cool with it, but they kept it away from the public eye. Gunna never sold an image of destruction and death. I can respect it. But now these guys are being literally charged and might lose their lives behind bars. So we as a community need to sit back and wait for the situation to play itself out before trying to defend or trying to excuse. We need to sit back and wait.